thoughts.
Namaskar and a very good morning. Welcome to the 94th Dekho Apna Desh webinar of the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, a platform for the travelers, by the travelers and travel experts. We at Ministry of Tourism pride ourselves on exploring the nooks and crannies of India's vast landscape that often goes unnoticed and tell all of you कि आओ सच में देखो अपना देश. Viewers, we hope you all are staying strong and healthy as we progress towards a fully vaccinated India. And today we have among us an important stakeholder, an orator, and an industry leader, Sri Devjit Datta. He is the chapter chairman of Indian Association of Tour Operators and Association of Domestic Tour Operators of India in West Bengal, and also the owner of Impression Tourism Services India Private Limited. Sri Devjit Datta is not only known for his innovative travel itineraries, unique tourism products, but also for responsible destination management, skill development, and community tourism initiatives across Bengal Northeast, and the shared borders with Bengal. Friends, we have three important South Asian countries sharing borders with us. And also we have more than 5 Indian states sharing border with West Bengal. So often we wonder what kind of itineraries can be prepared in this cross-border tourism while we explore them. So in order to do that, from the beautiful lands of Arunachal to West Bengal, in this episode, we present in front of you Sri Devjit Datta. Devjit Datta, welcome.
Good morning, Shak. Thank you, Shaya. Good morning, Mr. Dev Brahman, and it's been wonderful to be here again. Just allow me to share my screen.
Speak a bit loud.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear, but a bit speak loud.
Okay. So, good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to the 94th episode of Dekho Apna Desh. And this time we are looking beyond the border of the East through the product that exists within the region. As we all know, tourism has been going through the biggest transformation ever in the history due to this impact of COVID-19, and it is time for all of us in the industry to understand the changes and adopt to the same with new traveling idea. In today's session, I'm going to focus on positioning Bengal and Northeast India as a part of Eastern South Asian circuit, just to explore the shared border opportunities, which is perhaps the biggest possibility that exists in this part of the world. And of course, it is Eastern India and the sub-Himalayan eastern neighbors of Bhutan and Bangladesh. And combining those regions, we are looking forward to increase traffic to this region in the days to come. Dekho Apna Desh is an initiative to increase, develop domestic tourism. And what comes next is definitely the regional tourism, and after that, the inbound tourism. So we all at the tourism industry, we should be ready, with our new traveling idea, considering the demand that would be coming in the days to come after the pandemic. Please note that this part of this presentation is kind of conceptual and designed with futuristic approach towards the development of the tourism in this region. First, please allow me to highlight some of the key elements that exist in this part of the world, and we divide that into 3 different segments. The Himalayas, or the East by Himalayas, as we understand, it is the mountains that we see is actually Mount Kanchenjunga. It is 28,168 feet above sea level, and it is the 3rd highest peak in the world and highest in India. Now, Himalaya is something which rings a bell in everyone's mind all across the world. You don't have to excel Himalayas, and everybody knows about Himalayan as a mountain range, and we are blessed with the eastern part of Himalaya that exists across this region. Himalaya comes along with a lot of exciting adventures and activities all across this region. With our communities, with our natural wonders all across, and we have we create a lot of very interesting product all across Himalayas. The Ganges and Brahmaputra river system, perhaps one of the most interesting and intrigue and biggest river system that exists in this region, and of course that offers a cruisable surface of almost about 1300 kilometers. So coming to east, that Ganges and Brahmaputra and the entire river system, and Ganges as a river, again, that is a very popular river, and as a as a product, river life experience on Ganges is something which is very, very interesting and widely popular all across the world. And of course, the biggest opportunity that exists in this part of the world is, of course, the shared border opportunities. East beyond borders. In India we have 1500 kilometers of 15,000 kilometers of borders which we share with our neighbors, and 36% of that border is actually in eastern India. So if you look at the map, I have a map here. If you can see the close proximity to the international border, and some of the destinations are very popular destinations globally. So creating a circuit with eastern India and the Himalayan eastern neighbors of Bhutan and Bangladesh is actually the future of tourism to this region. Nowhere in India is actually you can get that much of international border in close proximity. So that positioning East and Northeast India as a part of Eastern South Asia global circuit is something which is actually going to change the future of tourism in this part of the world. But before I talk more about that shared border opportunity, please allow me to speak about some of the very interesting element as in terms of tourism in this part of the world. Natural heritage, the wildlife. 40% of the wildlife sanctuaries are actually in the eastern part of India, and that is the largest concentration of wildlife parks all across the country. And of course, some of the national parks and wildlife sanctuaries are very unique in nature. Like for example, the first picture that we see is actually Kaibul Namjao National Park. This is situated in Manipur, and this is perhaps the world's only floating national park. This is a 40 square kilometers grassland floating on a lake. So this is something very unique. In the middle, we have this Sambar Rhododendron Sanctuary. This is an orchid sanctuary above 12,000 feet, and this is situated in Sikkim. And the last picture with the tiger, it is the Sundarban National Park, which is the largest delta of mangrove forest in the Bay of Bengal in Sundarban. And we are almost about having 2,684 square kilometers of the national park is in the India part, and the remaining 2/3 is in the Bangladesh part. And in India we have almost about 104 islands all exist in that part of the world. And Sundarban is something, it's a unique, it's a World Heritage Site and connects Bangladesh and India together. So if you are talking about the wildlife park and national park, these are some of the national park and the wildlife sanctuaries in eastern India are actually very different. In fact, 3 of the wildlife sanctuaries are actually we have Sundarban, it's a World Heritage Site. We have Manas and Kaziranga in Assam, that is also a World Heritage Site. So very interesting wildlife and very interesting experience indeed. 685 tribal communities that exist in the eastern part of India, and with their vibrant life and culture, intangible, with a huge, a large range of intangible cultural heritage to explore. Right from Nagaland to West Bengal, the tribal life is indeed a very, very interesting, and that comes along with village life experience. Village tourism in India is actually coming up in a very big way. Ministry of Tourism recently introduced their new village tourism, policy, and to encourage village tourism in different part of India. So tribal life, village life experience, and of course, while going to those areas, some of the regions, some of the destination that offers very interesting homestay accommodation in those areas. So a very unique and out of the box experience that we can offer. Then our heritage tea trails. Tea history started in 1849 by British East India Company, and today Darjeeling and Assam both been recognized, well recognized all across the world, and that heritage comes along with heritage stays in tea bungalows and with lot of activities in terms of tea plantation. Plantation tourism is kind of new to this part of the world, but with tea gardens all across Darjeeling, Duars, Assam, and the bungalows and the activities that we offer, it's something very unique to experience in eastern part of India. The Bengal, the heritage of undivided Bengal and Bangladesh. Bengal has got a history of 1,000 years, and coming to Bengal, you can actually uh, experience the rich heritage and culture of this, riverine region that starts from the 12th to 13th century, Sultanate, and coming up to the our late 17th century
Mr.
colonial
Datta, sorry,
Calcutta. Yeah.
can you speak a bit louder? There are many requests they want to hear you properly. Can you be a
I'm
bit
sorry.
louder?
I'm sorry. This is, am I audible right now properly?
You are audible, but just raise your voice a bit. That's
Okay. So I was talking about Bengal with undivided Bengal, the heritage Bengal with their undivided, with their 1,000 years of heritage, and that is one of the most unique and experience that you can enjoy in coming to this part of the world. Of course, heritage on wheels. We do offer different, experiences on wheels, in eastern part of India, and there are many, but I have only mentioned. I could only, showcase couple of them here in this slide. Like for example, the Land Rover, that we see, it's there in Sandakpur. These are all Series 1 Land Rover, which was actually manufactured way back in 1948. Those are almost 70 years old, and there are only few hundreds that exist in this world, and 25% is actually in Darjeeling Hills. That 1878 Darjeeling Himalayan Railways, which is now a UNESCO World Heritage, that we can see in Darjeeling Himalayas, which another very interesting experience on wheel. And all of this comes along with a very interesting story. And of course, the tramways in Calcutta, which is perhaps the world oldest tramways to experience, still running on the streets of Calcutta. So altogether, Eastern India offers a very unique experiences in very close proximity, and this is time for us to think beyond the box and create experiences which actually can attract more travelers, not all across India but beyond the borders to this part of the world. And what I was talking and what this discussion is all about is about the biggest opportunity that exists in this part of the world. I think the biggest opportunity is the shared border opportunity. We are having so many international border, and all of them like Bhutan, Bangladesh. This is what we call Eastern South Asia, and these borders actually offer lot of land entry points. Somehow I missed that pointers, because I had the pointers here. So we have a lot of land entry points right from Benapole near Calcutta, Hili near North Bengal, Bangla Banda. These are all Bangladesh borders. So I've told you 15,000 kilometers of shared border with neighboring countries, and 36% in Eastern India. Bangladesh is having the maximum number of land entry point, one close to Calcutta, one close to Siliguri, one close to Kuch Bihar. We have Dauki border in Meghalaya. We have Aukhada border in Tripura. Then Bhutan and having Fulsiling border in this is here Fulsiling in northern part of Bengal, and Samdup Jhankar, which connects Bhutan with Assam. So this border actually, the connection, the land connection with the neighboring countries, and opens up a huge possibility in terms of connecting this, tourism circuits together. This, connecting, creating a circuit beyond the border, connecting Bhutan, Bangladesh, even Myanmar. Those that creates an amazing, traveling experiences for the, travelers who are coming to this region. And of course, Calcutta as a gateway city. And again, people can arrive in Calcutta. This is a 350 years old city of unique culture, heritage, and contrast. And Calcutta being a gateway city to the entire Eastern South Asia is can change the entire future of travel to this region. If somebody is traveling, within the country, domestic traveler, going to the border, and some of the border towns and even actually allow you to go inside inside the border, like Tamu in Myanmar, in Manipur, you can actually go inside the Myanmar and come back in the same day. So that's a unique experience. You're traveling all across India, but you can still see a new country or visit a country and come back. For example, if you are visiting Sikkim, you can actually go and see Nathula border, which is a China border, which is very popular and for everybody. But definitely crossing this border is subject to availability of permit, and you can actually contact your tour operator or for this permit. Like Fulsiling, the third picture is Fulsiling border, which is a border town between West Bengal and Bhutan. So this Fulsiling city is in the Bhutan. You can actually, when you travel in that part of the world, that region of North Bengal called Duars, and very interestingly, it is full of wildlife sanctuaries, tea gardens, tribal groups. But most important, the name Duars, that actually originated from the numerous entry point to the neighboring countries. So doors to Duars. So Duars, if you're traveling to Duars and then you go to Jaldapada Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in northern part of Bengal, you can always go to Fulsiling and come back on the same day. So as an Indian, you are allowed to go inside Fulsiling and go around the city and come back without any permits. Of course, you have to enter yourself at the border post. So, and of course, like this is a picture I took last to last year in Dauki border. And Dauki border is actually, it's a border town between Meghalaya and Bangladesh. So that's one of the interesting point. You can see the people from Bangladesh are coming, and you can go and meet them in between in the no man's land. Very, very interesting experience for the domestic traveler indeed. If you go to Tripura and then Aukhara border, also the similar kind of activities. But this is what we can, the idea is to not only travel domestic, but also you have the experience of visiting the neighboring countries, at least to the border town, you can visit and come back. For travelers who are coming from others, countries, and we have some, these are some very simple itineraries, how we can connect, this, neighboring countries and create a global circuit, create a circuit beyond the borders. This is Bengal heritage with Eastern Himalaya. This itinerary is actually, connects all three destinations of Bhutan, Bangladesh, and India. So you arrive in Calcutta and then spend 1 or 2 days, and then of course you travel to Darjeeling and Sikkim. Then from there, by land, by road, you visit Thimphu, Punakha, Paro in Bhutan, and then from there you can fly to Dhaka, and then you explore Bangladesh and you can fly back. So like these are the very simplest form of the itinerary that I'm presenting, just to give an idea that how you can connect this circuit together and create a Eastern South Asian circuit, which is part of the future of travel to this region. because if you look, just a second. Yeah. So another itinerary is actually, it's a Bengal Bangladesh heritage cross-border heritage tour or cross-border cultural expedition. So you can come to Calcutta, explore the little Europe in Bengal, which is very close by and most popular for its colonial settlement. Early 17th century, all the Europeans started coming and setting up trade posts here. And then we have French, Dutch, Portuguese, all the colonies very close by. So you explore that colonial settlement. You go to Bishnupur and Shantiniketan to explore the 16th century terracotta temples and the place of Rabindranath Tagore, to the Malda and Murshidabad, and of course then come back and go to Dhaka, Sonargaon. So you actually get exposed to the history of undivided Bengal, and this is very interesting. This can be done by air and by land. So you arrive in Calcutta, then you go all through, and then by land you can enter Bangladesh, and you can come back from Dhaka. So this is a kind of itinerary or tour program that can be designed, and this is something which is very popular in the international market. It's called Sikkim Bhutan experience. So most of the foreign tour operators and most of the foreign market, this itinerary is extremely popular for many years. And we start from City of Joy, Calcutta, then we travel to Sikkim, explore Sikkim, then from there by road we enter Bhutan, and then cover Bhutan, and then fly back to Calcutta and fly back to the respective countries. So this is, I'm telling you again, this is a very simple form of itineraries. I'm just trying to give you an idea about how you can connect this destination to create a bigger circuit, because once we connect all these top line destination together, we actually can enhance traffic to our part of the country. So suppose, for example, Bhutan as a destination or Bangladesh as a destination somehow, and the Nepal also and Myanmar also, this cross-border tours have always been very popular in international market. For example, Indochina, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. Now these destinations are getting saturated. The focus is coming to this part of the world, shifting towards the western side. So this is where we have the future of travel. How to facilitate this smooth traveling all across this region? Well, I would like to draw your attention to a couple of initiatives in this regard by the government, central government. And one is the BBIN Motor Vehicle Agreement, which was drafted in 2015. BBIN is Bhutan, Bangladesh, India, Nepal Reciprocal Transport Agreement to facilitate free movement of scheduled commercial and non-commercial traffic to all cars or vehicles to all across this region. So you can understand what kind of opportunity, though it is still under implementation, not fully implemented, but at least initiated in a government way, so things are moving up. So if this fully implemented, you can think what are the kind of possibilities. I will discuss that in my following slide. Second is the Bengal Bangladesh Inland and Coastal Waterways Connectivity Agreement, which was initiated in the year 2018. It was to facilitate free movement of cruise ship across Bangladesh from Eastern India to Kolkata. So again, another very interesting agreement, and this has been implemented, and there are cruise companies who are actually working on this route. And this is again cross-country cruising that opens up a lot of opportunities for all of us in Eastern India. For a cruise from Bangladesh cruise from Kolkata to Guwahati across Dhaka, that makes it a very interesting journey, considering the diversity in terms of life, culture, people, geography that has to be offered. River cruising has always been a very top end product all across the world. And the river system that we are having, the Eastern India is a riverine region, and you really have to come here to see and believe what river life is and what river system is. So the entire river system that exists in this part of the world, it's kind of very unique, and that can be best explored on this luxury cruise. We have 4-5 very reputed cruise company that they are operating in this region. We have Assam Bengal Navigation in Guwahati. We have Pandav Cruise. We have Bengal Voyager. All these cruise companies are playing in this region. So cruising actually can change the future of tourism in this part of the world. Why I'm telling you, because somebody is coming for a cruise vacation, they will definitely explore the nearby places around. So if it is a 15 days or 4 days, 7 days or 15 days cruise itinerary, and then followed by a pre-cruise or post-cruise trip to the adjoining areas, that is basically it's indirectly impact the tourism and traffic to that region.
Always is going to.
So this is it. Second, this is a possibility. I'm talking about possibilities. Some of them has already been implemented, and some of them is definitely will be implemented in the future. A cross-country biking expedition, a very interesting product to be offered in this part of the world, and it is a possibility considering that BBIN agreement I have discussed, and of course there are biking tours. I have already worked on a couple of such inquiries or requests from other countries, and they want to travel from Calcutta across Bangladesh to eastern part of India, and then enter Bhutan, and then again come to North Bengal and go back. So these are the kind of very, very out of the box experiences that can be crafted and promoted. This will not only present this entire region in a very different way, but definitely enhance traffic to this region. Cycling tours, again, if you look at that area, North Bengal, there's an area called Chicken Neck. It's a very narrow corridor, belongs to India, and one side we have Nepal, one side we have Bangladesh. All these countries, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, are very close proximity, and we can always do. We have operated a 4 days 4 nation cycling trip. So these are the kind of very interesting possibilities. There was a company who were asking for cycling trip all across Bangladesh from India, and these are the kind of possibilities which are actually which is coming on our way. So this is something which is yet to be starting in this region, but there are companies who are seriously thinking about this. I know somebody called Mr. Sunirmal Ghosh from Indonesia Holidays. He's been very focused about this region, and then he's traveled himself, and he's been thinking about all this kind of tools. So more and more companies are coming and doing research and developing itineraries, which is cross-country itineraries. Like these are all caravan tours, cross-country caravan tours. This is also a possibility in this part of the world. So before we finish, I have a wonderful video about Northeast India. Enjoy the video, then I will definitely would like to answer the questions.
Mr. Devjit, is there any sound in the video? Because we can't hear any sound.
Oh.
Can you play again with the sound?
Can you just check it right now?
Oh, no, it's not coming yet.
Anyway, so I'll just, I'm sorry for the technical problem, because I've been experiencing this since yesterday. So
anyway, Devjit,
yeah,
this is Debarman.
yes sir.
Fantastic presentation, no doubt about it. I mean, and I'm also we are actually innovative the way we actually trying to promote the Northeast. But today, rather I was more eager to listen from you about Andaman Nicobar, Odisha, Bihar, Jharkhand, there, this kind of those kind of places. I think that in next sessions you must tell us and just highlight and emphasize the heritage sites in those places which I already mentioned, because those places are actually full of historical that essence, and our Indian in fact, our Indian traditions, the essence are lying in a place like Bihar and Bodh Gaya and Odisha. So we'll be very eager to know from you about those places.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yes, of course, I know, but this time, since the focus is on cross-border tourism, I have selected only the states which are sharing border with the neighboring states.
No,
So
but
definitely,
you are having China, you are having the Bhutan, you are having Bangladesh. So anyway, it's good. But next times we'll be really eager to listen from you. For,
absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I'd
Okay.
love to come and share my experience with other
Sure,
parts of India.
sure.
So before we proceed,
Nirjita,
few words, yeah.
we have some questions for you. Like we have heard about the tea tourism,
Yeah.
the plantation tourism, and the heritage stay options in these tea gardens. So can you emphasize and explain to our viewers, like what are these, like how many tea bungalows do we have in parts of North Bengal and Assam together, so that we can form a unique itinerary for them, for the viewers, and they can get a wholesome experience of staying in the tea gardens.
Thank you, Shayok. Actually, tea started probably around 1849. The first tea garden started with British East India Company. And today, India falls among the largest tea producers in the world of the world. And because of its unparalleled flavor and Darjeeling and Assam tea, that has actually got the highest level of recognition and satisfying tea lovers all across the globe. Plantation tourism is somehow relatively a new concept in this part of the world. We have bungalows, like few hundred bungalows. Mr. Debarman, you know that Jorhat, there are a lot of heritage bungalows. Bungalows, all tea garden bungalows are there. Every garden is associated with a bungalow, and almost all the bungalows are actually having an heritage status. So but only few bungalows actually they do offer they open the door for the tourists. For example, in North Bengal, I believe there are 6 or 7 bungalow, and Sikkim, I think one is there. It's called Temi Tea Garden. We have Glenburn, was very famous. Then the Cochrane Palace in Kurseong. We have Green Tea Estate in Darjeeling. We have 3 or 4 tea gardens. They have their bungalows for the tourists in Jorhat. And so not all the tea gardens they offer accommodation for the tourists, but yes, lot of tea gardens they are slowly coming up. More and more tea gardens are coming up with to facilitate with tea tourism for the tourists coming to this part of the world. So definitely a very interesting experience. The activity includes visiting the factory, visiting the plantation, taking part in the tea tasting sessions, interaction with the community. They have been working since generation in those tea gardens. So very interesting. And of course, you experience tea tasting and tea processing, and something which you are very familiar about. So very, very interesting. I think anybody coming to this part of the world should have a tea experience and explore this tea heritage tea trails in East and Northeast India. Thank you.
Devajit, this is very, very interesting, no doubt about it. But at the same time, because that kind of visitors which you will be getting for the tea tourism are supposed to be the connoisseur.
Yes.
So they must be knowing the difference between the Nilgiri teas, the flavor and taste of Nilgiri teas, the flavor and taste of Darjeeling teas, and the Assam teas. So that also need to be told. That also need to be emphasized, because Assam teas and Darjeeling teas, flavor-wise, taste-wise, completely different.
Exactly.
The people who are actually what to say, not glutton, who are actually having the good taste for the tea, and connoisseur, they actually can differentiate between the taste of Darjeeling tea and Assam teas. And there are people who will come to Darjeeling exclusively for Darjeeling tea
Yes.
instead of the Assam tea. So now both are different, you know. So these distinctions should also be mentioned during the time of the tea tourism promotional activity.
Absolutely, sir. Whenever we design something with the tea, design something with the tea experience, we always try and understand the client's, level of knowledge regarding tea, and we start from the layman's point, because you find 60-70% or 80% people, they are actually not very aware about this differentiation between the different tea, like Darjeeling tea.
That's why I'm talking about the gastronomer, connoisseur, those kind of words I have been using.
Yes.
And another thing is the topography also different, you know. The Darjeeling topography and Assam topography is completely different. In Assam, whenever you will come to visit the our northeast regions, so you have to be mentally prepared to get the good romantic kind of mood in the form of that incessant rain. So you have to be prepared that kind of pieces.
Exactly. And even we have people who actually came here to visit different tea gardens. Like, they wanted to go to Darjeeling, and then they, drove across the Duos region, and they went to, Assam for this, staying in a tea garden. So that kind of customer may be very limited. Customer guests are there, but very, very limited in number. But yes, we do have people like they are coming and then exploring that thing.
So the main point is that the different promotional activities.
Yes. And I think the industry and the stakeholder needs to be very, very, focused on this specific, niche tourism product, do a lot of research and development, and then make it a part of their main itinerary. So these are the handpicked, product that can create a magic actually. So we try and do that thing.
Assam government is doing it. The tourism brand ambassador of Assam government is Priyanka Chopra.
Yeah.
So in the form of Awesome Assam, they have been doing a remarkable job. So I think that it becomes quite popular.
Yeah.
It becomes the promotional that videos YouTube becomes quite popular.
Yes.
Hi, Devjit.
Yes, sir. Mr.
Devjit,
Anil
can you
Arora,
hear me?
General Director North. Yes, sir, I can hear you.
I'm very happy to hear the presentation on my part of birthplace.
Yes.
I'm from North Bengal, as I would like to tell everyone. Just tell me, as you elaborate everything, at present, how many borders with Bangladesh tourists can go with the passports? Because Bhutan and Nepal, I know we don't need anything. But Bangladesh, we can definitely go with the passport. So how many borders?
See,
please.
The closest from Calcutta is the Benapole border, Haridaspur border, where you can actually cross the border with the passport. Then Bangla Banda and Changra Banda, which is in North Bengal. There are some border which allow, allow tourists or travelers to cross. There are some borders specifically for goods and, cargo. So they are basically specifically for goods and cargo. You cannot cross with your passport. And then, apart from Haridaspur border, we have Bangla Banda border, which is very close to Siliguri, and we have Changra Banda border, which is very close to Kuch Bihar. So these are the border towns, in West Bengal. Then we have Aukhara border in Tripura, Mr. Dev Burman's place. So, the Aukhara border, you can, yes. So I have been there. It's been a wonderful experience at Aukhara border. Aukhara you can close, and it's very close to Agartala city, just 10 kilometers. Mr. Dev Burman, am I right?
Just, it is not
Please, sir, please.
It is just kind of supplement to your statement. Aukhara border, we are having that kind of what is the particular term is being called as we witness at a Baga border. in between the Punjab and
Bagha
Indian
border, yes, yes.
border, the
That
ceremony,
is the
flag
I
hoisting.
just forget. Yes, that's the practice between
Not
both armies.
not exactly flag hoisting ceremony. What we I'm sorry, there is a particular term for
Yes, I hope
military.
you remember that term. That you know.
So the same kind of things, not that scale what you usually witness at a Bagha border, but
Yes.
but maybe in a
there
very
border,
low profile, in between Akhara, I mean in between Akhara border and Bangladesh, this border, BSF as well as the BDR,
yes,
they do perform in the evening, you know. There is a treat to see. May not be that kind of pompous, that may not be that kind of a garish kind of things, but yes, there is also maybe in a low profile, but it's what to see.
Yeah, absolutely right, sir, and thank you for highlighting that. That can be a major, point of interest for any travelers traveling to Tripura and also Siliguri, the Bangla-Bonda border. They have the same, event happening, frequently. So these are, this can be like, for example, Bagha border. It's very popular. A lot of people go and visit these things. But here, it is the, we have to make it popular because it can be a major, place for tourist interest. And then that can develop the entire region, the border towns that can be developed with tourists, and also definitely thank you for highlighting. So Mr. Dev Burman is from Tripura, which is close to a border. Mr. Anil Orao is from Balurghat, and which is very close to Hilli border. So when we in Balurghat, we know I'm also from Balurghat. My hometown is Balurghat, and then we go to border and come back. Mr. Orao can tell me better about that. So border town with Bangladesh is something which is there, with our life, was there from this part of the world. Yes, Hayok, any other questions?
Shayak, kothay? Questions kothay?
Another question we have in our mind while discussing this cross-border tourism. Cross-border tourism does not only mean going to Bhutan or Nepal or Bangladesh. Those are maybe a dream itineraries for many of us at this point of time. But can you elaborate on the trekking and mountaineering experiences that can be availed in the northern part of Bengal and near about states like Sikkim?
Yes,
what can be a complete trekking itinerary that our viewers can put in their travel bucket list?
Yes, of course, adventure activities is among something which is this region can offer in a very different way. In Bengal, the highest point is Sandakphu. And Sandakphu, we do for 3 to 9 days trekking program, Singalila trek. Then in Sikkim, we have Zomri trek, which is for advanced trekker. Arunachal, we have a lot of trekking routes in Arunachal. So any states which are having Himalaya, with Himalayas, they offer a lot of trekking programs. Last week we had a wonderful session in Dekho Apna Desh. Then the gentleman spoke about the trekking routes available in Arunachal Pradesh. Wange, yes, Mr. Wange, he has given a wonderful presentation on different trekking routes that available in Arunachal Pradesh. So the entire area, entire region, or adjoining to the Eastern South Asian circuit, they are actually offer very interesting trekking routes for the travelers. And we do have a lot of people coming only to Bengal or only to Sikkim, only to experience the different trekking routes and go back with very interesting memories. Thank you, Shaya.
So friends, what we can see from the expert talks that we have tea bungalows, plantation tourism, we have a beautiful wildlife experiences spread over states of East India and Northeast India. And these itineraries can be combined at any point of time. Even you can combine these 3 or 4 kind of itineraries, such as tea tourism, adventure tourism, and wildlife tourism together for a long haul holiday. At the same time, I would like to inform our viewers that with the intervention of Government of India, Ministry of Tourism, and Inland Waterways Authority of India, as highlighted by Mr. Datta, the inaugural river cruise experience from Kolkata via Dhaka to Guwahati, covering two major rivers of these of India and Bangladesh, that is Ganges and Brahmaputra, and Yamuna in between. So a wonderful river cruise experience has also been curated in support of both the Indian government and Bangladesh government. Also, viewers, the concepts of river cruise tourism, caravan tourism, cycling, and adventure tourism are probably the options that you can opt for at this post-pandemic or mid-pandemic situation, because these kind of experiences will, give you a very safe and unique isolated experiences. You can interact with the communities, you can see their lifestyle, but at the same time, you will be in your own inventory, moving inventory, such as the cruise or the caravan. So these kind of concepts have been introduced by the major experts of major travel experts of our continent as subcontinent, as Devjit Datta has already explained. Also, friends, there are unique opportunities connecting northeastern states with the border, with many borders with Myanmar and Bangladesh. Suppose Tripura and Bangladesh are connected, well connected, very well connected. We have similar connections between Manipur and Myanmar. So in future, these kind of itineraries will be will be in everyone's travel bucket list. So explore them, explore the options for the future, and in the meantime, take your vaccinations and start traveling wherever it is possible. On that line, I would like to request Mr. Devjit Datta, who is also involved in other trade associations rather than I2I and AD2I, and he's a part of CII and other associations working very closely with the state governments of East and Northeast. So, Mr. Datta, would you like to explain what are the procedures to travel to Bengal and other parts of East India at this moment for the domestic Indian travelers?
See, travelers, I think that we have initiated a campaign called Safe Destination and for Safe Travelers. So what I understand is, vaccination is very important and going to play a very important role in the days to come to restart tourism to this part of the world. And initially, we have to start with the domestic traveler. Local traveler is traveling always with all the required restrictions. But yes, we are focusing on domestic travel to resume. And of course, after that, what is going to happen is actually local tourism, regional tourism is going to play a very important role before the inbound tourism. And that's why I think today's presentation has been very, relevant. Regional tourism means like the tourism from the neighboring countries, to tourists from the neighboring countries. You will be surprised to know Bangladesh, is the highest producing, before the pandemic, Bangladesh was the highest producing country for India in terms of incoming traffic. So almost 23.6% of the total incoming traffic, that is almost about 2.58 million tourists, visited Bangladesh before the pandemic in that financial year. So I think right now what is important, Shayok, is absolutely safe destination for safe traveler. Here in Bengal, initially the state government, kind enough to take the initiative first to vaccinate the, stakeholders. I think other states also, state governments have taken tourism as a priority sector for vaccination. Three things is important: clinically fit travel for the stakeholder to extend to the tourist. I think last year, every stakeholders, and thanks to state and central government, there was a lot of workshop initiatives to upskill the stakeholders about the cleanliness and sanitization. And every small homestay operators or taxi driver, they know about the cleanliness and sanitization procedure. So that's a very good for a country like India, because we actually never had very good reputation in terms of health and hygiene before the pandemic. So that thing is gone, and this is going to be a permanent thing. Now the second thing is that vaccinate the stakeholders. Now why vaccination is required? No, it is not for the safety of the stakeholder, but not for the safety of the local community, but rather it is going to play the most important role in reviving tourism, because after the pandemic, when the tourism is fully restart, people will be looking for destination, number one, which can provide you clinically fit service that we provide already. Number two, the stakeholders are vaccinated. Now we are in a process in Bengal and Eastern India, almost, I know it's a huge number, it's a huge amount of stakeholders have already been vaccinated. So we have ensured that our destination is safe. Number two is that safe travelers. In Bengal, earlier it was that if you arriving, you need to have a RT-PCR test to arrive in any of the ports in Bengal. Now, earlier this month, I have requested the state administration to kindly allow a vaccinated traveler, fully vaccinated traveler, to travel without any RT-PCR. That has been accepted and implemented also. Different state has got different policies, but almost everybody accept the same thing, that vaccination is I do not have all the protocols here with me, because we have been dealing with 9 states here, so every state has got different protocol to follow. And I think this is something tourism department should play a very important role. It is one India, so there should be one uniform protocol for all the states. Otherwise, that, like, tourists, they will get confused about, like, if there is one rule in Meghalaya and another rule in Assam and third rule in West Bengal, then you will actually not get that traffic coming to this region, because there will be a lot of confusion, and people do not travel with confusion. So
Now, Devajit,
yes, sir.
now the vaccinations, getting vaccination becomes a global norm.
Yes.
This actually not confined to any particular states, and you need to come to my state with a fully vaccinated way. This is not a thing. I mean, this already become a global norm.
Yeah.
Now, another thing is that now I'm coming to the Shaikh on this point. As far as river cruise is concerned, I'm just curious to know. He mentioned about only Calcutta's Ganga, Akka, and Brahmaputra. I just want to know that river cruise supposed to start from where? Which will be the origin, source of origin? Whether it should start from Gangotri, from UP, then Bihar, then Calcutta, then Bangladesh, then Dhaka. This is still very long. And second thing is that as far as cross-border tourism is concerned, as far as Northeast is concerned, we are already having continuous activities in between Tripura and Bangladesh, Tripura and Meghalaya and Bangladesh, Assam and Bangladesh, and Manipur and Myanmar. These kind of things are already in there. So now, after the pandemic is over, I believe that there will be huge surge, that kind of things. Of course, with a fully vaccinated one will be able to travel. But I believe that for the globe, people now realize vaccination is a must for their own survival.
No, that is very true, sir. Very, very true. I think this is going to play a very important role to reviving tourism back in business, because people in the industry is fully aware about that, and the travelers are also, they are getting very well aware about that, that if they are vaccinated, they can travel freely. So I assume this is a very good initiative trend, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we will be back in business very soon. And in that time, this will play, because people will be traveling, and they'll be traveling like anything. That much I can understand and assume. So we are looking forward to reopen as soon as possible, maintaining all the safety and hygiene protocols, safety and security protocols, and reviving business. But definitely, this pandemic has taught us a big lesson, and then the transformation that we had due to this pandemic. I think earlier we had a transformation due to the digital development in the past. Now, right now we had another transformation, and this transformation needs to be understood by the industry and the people, and of course adapt to those, because tourism is evolving as a very new business, and with new ideas and new thoughts. So new traveling idea, I think I have been very passionate about Eastern India and this entire region, and I think the traffic to this region is still very less. but we have all the elements, all the required USPs to attract travelers. So what I'm trying to my focus and initiative is entirely on creating something which is very new out of the box, so that we can drag in more tourists to this part of the world, and that can impact our livelihood of the host community. That was this is the what we are focused on. I think everybody in the industry is focused on that specific aspect. Yes, Shagak, any other
As
questions?
far as new products are concerned, Mr. Datta and our other tourism experts from East and Northeast, they have curated many unique products. You can have a look at the heritage trails, the heritage state trails of South Bengal, which reach up to Odisha, Mayurbhanj
Yeah.
district. So those kind of products are available at our social media handles. Different social media handles, different sessions are available. Also, friends, I would like to inform all of you that whenever we talk about pilgrimage tourism and stuff, we concentrate on the popular destinations. Yes, India has wonderful pilgrimage destinations from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. But as far as destinations such as Sati Peeths or Shakti Peeths are concerned, there are more than 16 Shakti Peeths spread across northeast and east. There are Shakti Peeths at Bangladesh also, which can be in the travel bucket list for the future. But you can, if you're looking for divine peace and blessing at this kind of time, this kind of tenure, you can plan your travel in the search of peace and blessing through these Shakti Peeth trails. Also, I would like to inform our viewers that whenever we talk about Buddhist pilgrimage, we normally travel to Bodh Gaya or Sarnath or maybe other parts which Lord Buddha and Ashoka has described. But there are destinations spread across East and Northeast India, from Odisha, from West Bengal, from Tripura, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh, where we have footprints of Buddhism, where we have living Buddhism at present. So you can experience all these kind of unique products. And as we have always come up with new concepts, new travel ideas with fresh travel experts from all across the country. So please keep tuning to the Dekho Apna Desh
Shayak,
webinar
before we
session of
finish,
ours.
Shayak, I'm sorry. Before we
Ah.
finish, there's a very interesting question from Neha Sharma. And she's asking that, do you think that apart from the popular destination in the Northeast, unexplored one, will also, apart from the popular destination in the Northeast, unexplored one will also play a major role in promoting tourism that region post COVID-19? So yes, Neha, definitely. I think I should highlight the 4 major impact of COVID-19 in tourism, or rather the 4 positive impact. Number 1 is that why we are having this, webinar, Dekho Apna Desh. India emerged as the biggest market for India. Now, people who has to travel to destinations beyond the border, they are now looking for destination within the country because of the restrictions. So this is something very positive impact. Second is that cities are emerging as the source market for the nearby destination. So I can give you an example. Earlier, we only used to work with 10 or 15 destinations in this part of the world, like for example, West Bengal. Right now, I have a list of 66 new destinations, because people are looking for new, unexplored, remote, clean, nice, decent, experiential places, with less crowds. But this has been a trend I have been following. People are not interested to go. I'm talking about the local clients, in a large way. They are not interested to go to destinations which are popular, which are crowded with people and tourists. They are always looking for offbeat places and destination, and this is a trend that will continue in the days to come. Another thing, both the industry and the travelers are getting concerned about responsible travel. So responsible tourism is the future of travel, that I can say. And this is interesting, very interesting trend that has been observed, post during the pandemic. And of course, clinically fit travel is something coming mandatory. So that's four, impact, which is actually I have noted during the recent past, and which is actually going to shape the industry that works in the days to come. I hope.
Devajit,
Yes, sir.
Who is asking this interesting questions? Neha.
Yes, Neha Sharma.
Can I supplement?
Please, sir, please.
Neha, can you hear me?
No, she
Sir,
cannot.
She can participate. So I think that she can hear me.
Yes.
So this is very interesting questions. No doubt about it. A lot of people are actually asking how to come to Northeast and what to see. First of all, before I tell how to what to see in Northeast, and before I actually tell these things, let me tell you why Northeast will be the hot and favorite destinations in post-COVID times. It has a very simple reason. People are not stressed. People are not tense, confining within the four walls of the room due to continuous lockdown. And there is restrictions in the movement. Human beings are, they are all actually tired. They're exhausted. They want to explore. They want to visit those kind of places where they can stress out, where they can actually ease out the tensions, where they can actually relieve the tensions. And what kind of tourism or what kind of things can be the great stress buster? Is the nature. And Devajit, in your course of conversation already mentioned that even I personally, not officially, personally feel that in the coming few years, 3, 4, or 5 years, popular destinations, so-called popular destinations in the country will not be any more popular, because those days are over. With a huge group, friends, relatives, kids and teens, you are going to certain heritage places with a lot of noise, etc. Everything. Those days are over, So-called popular tourist destinations may not be that kind of popular anymore. So people will try to avoid that crowd and gatherings, for their own survival, for their own existence, they are bound to do it. So I am not talking about the North Indian so-called revenge tourism. I am talking about once again, educated tourism. So Northeast will have the
Dev Burman, I will just
only, please.
Sir, Dev Burman sir and Anil sir, just a second. This is this platform and the entire thing, it's a curated one. Here we do not discuss things up to a length and we have to conclude.
Okay,
so
okay.
I would request both of you, because I have some deadline times. We need to conclude it within the stipulated time frame.
Okay.
So I would request both of you to come again in the next webinar sessions where we can conclude.
Okay. Keep me 1 minute, only 1 minute. Within 1 minute, So, Devajit, you know that Northeast tourism products are 99.9% are all nature-based tourism products. Tea tourism, monsoon tourism, Cape tourism. What kind of tourism you take? So people will come in a throng. There are so many places in Northeast. Other than even popular tourist destinations, so there are a lot of other destinations which are actually unknown destinations, but equally as popular, as attractive as other places. Like Nagaland, there is a place where the Siberian eagle come. That village, the particular village now become popular. Then that park in Tripura. This is only the park in the entire country where you will have the 5,000 bats. Then that Andro village in Manipur. Then Bongachia in Mizoram. Those are unknown places. Why these are famous? That I'll tell in the later session. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So
So,
I think,
thank you, Devjit Datta, Mr. Datta, for this wonderful, unique, curated experiences sharing with our viewers. Thank you, viewers, for joining us today. And we hope you will all tune in with us in the next episode. Friends, we are aging towards the 74th Indian independence. And on that occasion, the entire country, all Indians, all of us will celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. It's a year-long agenda for Indians, and we would like to celebrate that day and the entire year in a very colorful and meaningful way. So in order to do that, we will begin with a unique storytelling session next Saturday, same time, in Ministry of Tourism Dekho Apna Desh webinar session, where we would all be waiting for the stories of legendary Indian freedom fighter Sri Kartar Singh, the founder of Gadar Party. So that would be an entire unique Azadi trails waiting for all of you. So stay tuned with us for the next Dekho Apna Desh webinar. And till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Namaskar.
Namaskar.